Thank you.
So you work for Rocktown? Or?
No. I just live in Little Rock. So.
Dude, I love it. Thank
Just
you.
drove down.
We'll give it a try here just a little bit. I got all these bottles in here though, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Joe and this is Foolproof Hunter. Today we're going over the Spillway event that I recently attended on April 5th, and we'll talk about what happened there, what bottles I got, and I met a lot of the big YouTubers there, so stay tuned. So for those of you unaware, Spillway is a liquor store up in Brandon, Mississippi, and every year they put on a block party around April 5th, and every year it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Bruzel kind of put it on the map a few years back when he attended just randomly, and every year it's continued to grow and grow and grow. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over what bottles I got there, what the event was like, what whiskey tubers were there. I met a whole bunch of whiskey tubers there, and we'll kind of go over everything that was there and my experience with it. So this was actually the first event like this, so it was actually really interesting. So I'm going to sip on some of this Bardstown Wheated Origin in my handy dandy Bruzel Festival Cup, which I did pick up at the Spillway event. So yes, I did meet Bruzel there. We'll get into all that, what it was like meeting some of those YouTubers, and we'll get into this. So I live about 3 hours south of Spillway, which is right next to Jackson, Mississippi, in Brandon, Mississippi. I didn't have anyone going with me, so it was pretty much just me. So met a couple people in the parking lot that was really cool. They invited me to hang out at their tent. So shout out to Edward and his wife, Tim also. We kind of hung out for the majority of the day, which was really cool. They invited me in. Really cool people. And incidentally, Edward hooked me up with one of these Still Austin cast strength. I believe this is a store pick. So this is a store pick Maggie Still Austin cast strength, 116 proof. So I have a video coming up on this bottle, interesting story behind why he gave it to me. So that'll be coming soon. So shout out to Edward and his wife for hooking me up with this. I appreciate it. The event was pretty cool. Most people would set up tents. It's really cool that the bourbon community, the way that it works, and everybody just put out bottles. It was just a big bottle share event where, you know, some of them would put 5 or 10 bottles out. Some had 20 or 30. So you could walk up, taste things. It was really cool. So at the event, there was a bunch of distilleries there that you could try all their products. You could talk to the people involved. It was either the owners of the companies, if it was a smaller brand like Detling or Matt Crittenton, or it'd be the master distiller. Jonathan Mazzano was there with K-Luke. So it was pretty much, so I'm hoping I'm not missing anybody, but K-Luke was there, Jonathan Mazzano, Matt Crittenton from Crittenton's Cut Above down in Kill, Mississippi. Old Dominic was there. You had Detling there. And then on the hour, they would do these hourly bottle drops of specific things that you could only get at Spillway, or at least that was the start of the day you can get them there. Let's explain how the bourbon drop actually works. Starting at 9 o'clock, you get in line and you get a wristband and you get a ticket. Now that ticket is good for all day, so you don't want to lose it. Every hour starting at 10, they do an hourly drawing, and they were drawing about 280 to 290 tickets per drawing. So they do the hourly drawing. If your name gets called, you go get in line in your in the line in which your number is called, and then you get to go through the store and of course choose a bottle off the shelf. They had 5 shelves, so they did 5 of these drawings back to back to back. It was a little bit chaotic there at the beginning of the day because you had Bruzel's tent set up kind of near the entrance to the liquor store, and you also had the line to get your ticket and your wristband right there. So Bruzel was doing an infinity barrel, which of course a lot of people were lined up to drop a bottle. I did as well, and so there was people lined up to drop a bottle into that, or just meet him, or buy some merchandise, which is also kind of in the same area as all the other distilleries and vendors. So, and then the line to get your tickets also snaked in and out of there. So all those people were kind of intermingled together, and it was a little chaotic because some people didn't know which line went to what, and some people were standing in one line when it was the bottle drop line or the infinity barrel line when they was wanting tickets. So it was a little chaotic there. Of course, it all got smoothed out. Everybody got a ticket as far as I know. So that was a little bit chaotic. So that could be a little bit better arranged possibly next year. You know, a little more space right there where they're giving out the tickets would really help with that. Let's get into what I got, and we'll get to the whiskey tubers in a little bit. But let's go over what I actually got at the event. I only was able to get one bottle. My number was only called once, and that was on the 5th drawing. And I think I was 108th in line, so you can just imagine I didn't really get anything like Jack 10, 12, 14, Pappies or anything like that. And I think there was only 1 or 2 bottles of Pappies at this, and I think 1 Thomas H. Handy as far as some of the BTAC stuff. But there was some really great bottles there. There was Old St. Nick, there was Willet Purple Tops, there was Jack Sinatra, there was a lot of really cool bottles there. So the first bottle I acquired was pretty much one of the hourly drops where the distillery went inside the store and did a drop, and you could go in and buy, you know, as many bottles as you wanted, really. So this is Old Dominic's single barrel straight wheat whiskey. So it's a 7-year product, 126.35. 83% wheat, 12% corn, 5% malted barley. So I got a chance to taste this and immediately went and got in line to go get a bottle of it. I wish I'd have went and got a couple of them, but I'm assuming that eventually this will be on store shelves everywhere, just like other Old Dominic products. So up next would have been this bottle. So this Old Dominic Cask Strength is just a standard Old Dominic Cask Strength. This is what I brought to put into the Infinity bottle, into the Infinity barrel that Bruzel was doing. And as you can see, got the Bruzel sticker on it. To Infinity. Little play on Toy Story there. So this is volume number 2. This is the 2nd year that he's done it. So that's why it's volume number 2, bottle 75. And it was even got TJ to sign it. So the Infinity barrel come out really nice. I think according to TJ, there was about 60% Jim Beam products in it. Like Old Granddad 114 and things like that was the majority of what people put in it. I got to taste this afterwards. I thought it was pretty rye spicy, but didn't have all the mint, didn't have anything like that. So I thought it was a really good rye forward bourbon. So the rules on what you could bring to dump into the Infinity barrel was it had to be 100 proof and it had to be bourbon and it couldn't be finished. He said give it, you know, 2 to 4 weeks or a couple months, kind of let it settle and let it finish mixing and whatnot and coming together. So we'll try this in a few weeks and see if it gets better. So one of the other bottles I was able to get, of course, Matt Crittenton did his drop in the store, and I knew he was dropping the Toasted Pecan, which is one of my favorites. I have I believe this is 2.0 Toasted Pecan, which I never have opened just because I loved it so much that's kind of my backup bottle, and I was kind of waiting to get another one possibly before I opened it or open it for a special occasion. But now that I have another one, that one will be open soon. So this was really cool. This comes in at 113.8 proof, Mississippi Toasted Pecan 3.0. So looking forward to that bottle eventually. So when my number did get called, it was much later in the day. It was, you know, 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I was actually able to go in again. I was 108th in line or something like that. So as I was standing there, they had plenty of Blantons left. They had plenty of Eagle Rare. They had a lot of Willet Purple Tops. This is what I walked away with. The Bardstown Origin High Wheat. Several other things I could have got in line, but nothing that really intrigued me or I was willing to spend that kind of money on. So some of the other things I got while I was there, Mississippi Sippers was there as well. And I was able to pick up a couple of these. They're kind of like brandy glasses, but they're great for whiskey as well. And they're embroidered with the Mississippi Sippers logo on it. So thought that was really cool. We'll pour some expensive pours in this later on and test them out side by side with some Glencairns, kind of see how they, how they stack up. So along with the Bruzel Glencairn, I also got a Bourbon Hunter t-shirt from Bruzel's tin as well, which was really cool. So actually high quality, really comfortable t-shirt too. Who was there from the Whiskey Tube community? So of course, Bruzel was there, right? So you had Bruzel, you had Whiskier, you had Shelf Sippers there, Steve Scone, you had Old Fashioned Ways Plus Plus, Measure Zero, Echoes in Eternity, I think there was a couple more that I don't know offhand that I heard people mention. That's the ones that I actually got to meet. So of course, I got to meet Bruzel face to face, talk to him a minute. In meeting TJ, I stood there and talked with him for just a few minutes. And keep in mind, this is also at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I can tell you this, just from watching him run around, doing the barrel, doing the infinity barrel, standing there pouring bottles in, which you'll see some footage of, to him running in and out of the store, to doing interviews, to doing his own, content. His wife was there, Will was there, Jill, of course. Watching him run around, by the time I talked to him, you could just tell he was just exhausted, but he still took the time to talk to little old me, which was really cool. Super down to earth guy. I mean, everybody I saw him talk to, everybody that walked up to him, that wanted a photo, that just wanted to talk to him, super down to earth. He really is a genuinely good guy, just in meeting him and talking with him and then watching him throughout the day, which was really cool. Steve Scone from Shelf Sippers. I was actually standing in line next to him and didn't even realize it. I heard his voice and turned around, it was him. And so me and him got to spend, roughly about 40 minutes kind of talking with each other as we snaked our way through the line. So, and while we were talking, we ran into Whiskey, talked with him a few minutes, Echoes in Eternity, which again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but all of them that I met were just generally great guys, willing to stand there and talk with you about whatever, if you want to talk about bourbon, or they were talking about the drive down, or they did this last night where they went to dinner. It was just like talking to someone that you either work with or have known for a long time, right? Everybody was just there to have a good time and just to hang out and meet people and experience everything that the event had to offer, which was just really cool. A little bit later in the day, when I was in the store, I ran into Doc Martinez from Old Fashioned Ways Plus Plus. Again, super great guy. Stood there and talked with me for a minute. Even when he was in line to purchase a bottle, he actually got out of line to talk with me just a minute, because I was just randomly looking at the bottles on the normal shelf. So again, just a great experience meeting all these people that you see on YouTube day in, day out. And I can tell you honestly, at least the ones I met, each and every one of them were just great, genuine guys, right? Which was just really cool to see. And again, the event also, there was a lot of food trucks there. Forget who was there, Papa John's or Little Caesars. There was all these custom food trucks, slinging burgers and hot dogs, and there was some barbecue tents there from different restaurants in the area. So really cool event. You didn't go thirsty or hungry at this event, of course. On the ride home, just because, being a bourbon hunter, you want to hunt. It's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You got a 3-hour drive home. Let's hit some stores, right? So I really want to give another shout out again to Edward and his wife. We hit a couple stores there in the Jackson area. We hit Causeway, which was right around the corner from Spillway. And we also drove to another store, I believe, called Wine and Spirits in the Quarter, which is actually in Jackson, Mississippi. Both stores, really cool stores, really clean. Staff is like super helpful, super knowledgeable, really cool. Just stood there and talked with some of them for 20, 30 minutes, it felt like. So both of those stores I would like to hunt in the future and get up with them and schedule some things in the future. So hopefully we'll see that in some upcoming videos. So 3-hour drive back, I'm driving right through Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So I said, well, I want to stop off in Lincoln Road. I wanted to stop in just to see what they had to pick up there. Another one of these Detlin Bottle and Bonds, which are now discontinued. So I was really glad to pick this up, to have a backup. After that, I shot straight back to Ocean Springs, but no road trip can be complete without stopping at your hometown store. So I had to stop in at Mabry's now, formerly Mazzano's. They finally got the name changed after a year of ownership. And so I stopped in just to see what they had. And of course they had, and I knew that they had some of this old tub, and I've been wanting to get a couple bottles just for backup, just because I've heard it's been discontinued or it's no longer being produced. So wanted to get a couple bottles of this just to have some backups for later. So was able to pick those up. Also, probably the coolest bottle that I got all day was, again, at Mabry's after the event, after driving all the way back home. A Jack Daniel's Sinatra. So I have not opened this yet. I'm super excited to do this. We'll be doing some content with this coming up. So that was my experience with Spillway. And again, I want to give a shout out to Edward and his wife and Tim for letting me hang out with them all day at their tent. It was really cool to see some of the whiskey tubers there. You know, special shout out to Whiskyer and TJ and Steve Scone. Really appreciate everything. Appreciate the advice that they gave. So would I go back next year? I think so. It was a really cool event. It was a really cool day. The only downside, of course, is the 3-hour drive, but just the camaraderie that came from it, from everybody in the community, and everything was just really cool to experience. It really was an awesome day, and it really didn't take that long. So you got to hang out with some really cool people and, you know, have some really interesting pours. Let me know down in the comments if you went to Spillway or if you've been to any bourbon or whiskey events like this. I really want to know what everybody thinks about them, and tell me your experience with any of these bourbon drops. You got any really cool or funny stories or anything you want to share? Drop them down in the comments. So until the next one, y'all, remember, the best bottle of whiskey is the one that makes you smile. Cheers, y'all.